You're listening to the Hunt Suburbia podcast. I'm your host, Pat Guyette. Big bucks I've been dreaming often, every night till I'm in a coffin. Vermont woods to the burbs of Boston, I'm looking for a tree to get lost in. Crisp mornings, little dust in the snow, quality time, just me and my bow. Fall evenings, I know just where to go for some quality times for me and my bow. It's just me and my bow. Welcome back to another episode of Hunt Suburbia. I want to thank everybody who's been listening the first couple of weeks. Please share it with your friends. Share it with people who want to get into hunting. Share it with people who love hunting already and they just are looking for more content to listen to. Really appreciate the likes, subscribing, following, commenting, leaving a review, all of that great stuff. This episode, I got to interview Jacob Bennett. He's from Boston Bowhunter. He was featured in the TV show Sea Bucks that was based around Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine hunters. He's killed a lot of amazing deer. He's got some great tips, some great pointers, some great stories. He and I had a great conversation. We talked a little bit about Vermont since I grew up there and he went to college there. We had a little bit of reminiscing about that. But there is some really good hunting knowledge in this episode. I really hope you guys enjoy it. You continue to listen, you share, and thanks again, guys. We really appreciate it. All right, we're live with Jake Bennett in live from Massachusetts. The man, the myth, the legend. Thanks for having me over, man.
Oh, no problem. Welcome to the house.
Yeah, looks awesome.
Use the term legend loosely.
Well, I'm looking at some amazing deer on the wall. Once again, sitting in a trophy room, and I hope I can harvest at least one buck that looks like these, and many more after that.
I don't know if I'd call it a trophy room. I mean, my wife's elliptical's over here, and her desk is right here. This is currently her office space. This is just where she allows me to hang my mounts.
What is your favorite buck that's on the wall?
Well, the one directly to your left right there, that's Sluggo.
What's his story? What's this coming out of his ear there?
He had 6 inches of another deer's antler sticking out of his ear.
Holy
when I killed him, yeah, from fighting.
And it looks like it was a spike horn or something.
No, that's actually a replacement tine. I loaned the mount to an organization to put up as a display, and it came back without the actual tine stuck in there. It wasn't their fault. They didn't know about it. I should have taken it out before it went. But the story of that buck is my good friend Bill Mulvey and myself chased that deer for a better part of, I'd say, 5 years.
Massachusetts buck?
Yes.
Yep.
Was on him, never actually, Bill laid eyes on him one time during that time period. We played cat and mouse. I mean, hunted him hard. And the year I killed him, the first interaction I had with him was after, it was too dark to shoot. And I'd drawn back on him and I couldn't see my pin, so I let down. My arrow, he was 25 yards hitting a scrape, and my arrow went off the string and hit a rock underneath me. It made this ting noise, and man, he took off. And I lost track of him for about 2 weeks. I ended up killing him about 2 miles from where I'd been hunting him.
So when you say you lost track of him for 2 weeks...
I run a lot of cameras.
Yeah, he wasn't showing up on your cameras?
Wasn't showing up on cameras. But in those 2 weeks that he was gone, other bucks came in. He was definitely the king of the area.
Yeah, and when he left, do you think when a dominant buck leaves, then the other bucks will move in? The secondary, tertiary bucks will come in and...
So, running cameras from where he was is literally, it's stupid easy. There's a big break in a rock wall where there's a scrape every single year.
Yep.
And every deer in the area will hit it, at least in that piece of woods. And we'd have anything from 1.5 years old to him. And a buck that I was getting pictures of, my buddy Frank and I were running cameras about 5 miles away. A huge buck from that far away showed up where he was. So traveled about 4.5, 5 miles, and we got him on camera.
You had him 4.5 miles away on a different camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were hunting him in a different piece. And
was that November?
In about 2 weeks after, about a week after I killed Sluggo.
Yep.
That giant buck showed up where Sluggo was. So once the king was gone, somebody else tried to come in. I shot him November 11th.
Yeah, so it was...
In a windstorm.
Well, we talked on the last podcast about hunting in in inclement weather. I like it. I really like if it's pouring rain. I love to go out. I know a lot of people don't, but I think inclement weather, those can be some of the best killing days, right?
Well, yes and no. There's stupid weather, and then there's hardcore weather. I mean, it depends on the year, on the time of year. I mean, you could be in December, and a windstorm comes through, like the end of the season, and I mean, you may see some running activity, but your chances are slim, November 11th, I don't care if there's biblical floods, you need to be in a tree.
Yeah.
Especially November 11th,
Coincidentally enough, that last year was the only time I've had an opportunity at a mature buck. I mean, I just started bow hunting 3 years ago. Last year, the only time I was in a stand and had a mature buck walk up was November 11th, Veterans Day, Monday morning.
Yep.
And something about that day.
When I shot this buck, I was talking to a friend of mine, Ray Isles, and he has this thing called a hunter's prayer. And I just knew this buck was in this piece of woods, and I said, hey, say a hunter's prayer for me. And I not only shot this buck, but about half an hour before I shot this buck, he shot the biggest buck of his life.
No way.
With
Same
a rifle
day.
in New Hampshire. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was a good day. It's always a good day. November 11th, November 16th, November 19th. Those are all days that I have in my head where I've killed some good bucks. October 30th, 31st. No, Halloween. Halloween's like the switch going off for me.
What's your favorite time of season? I mean, most people say rut, but do you like pre-rut and chasing, or what's your favorite?
Well, so everybody says the rut.
Yeah.
The rut is, to me, and I'm not a professional. I don't know all these. I've read a lot of publications and whatnot on the rut and moon phases. I do believe in moon phases, but the rut to me starts around October 28th and finishes whenever the last doe is bred. And sometimes that's January.
Yeah.
What you have in the meantime are different phases of the rut. Seeking phase, chasing phase, breeding phase. To me, the breeding phase is the most boring. People who say, the October lull, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I am wrong, I'm sure, because look at the guys who are as accomplished as the Drurys will say there's an October lull.
So people who say October lull, what time period in October are they referring to? The whole month?
Well, they're talking the middle of October to the end of October, where
Yeah.
daytime movement's on a decrease. To me, it's not.
Yeah.
It's your buck that you've been patterning all summer is moving off, trying to find out what's going on, trying to establish themselves in the pecking order of their breeding, and what's going on. It's what I tell people is, oh man, it's the October lull. It's not worth hanging in a tree. And what I'll say to them is, like, deer don't live underground and they don't fly, and they get up and move every day.
Yeah.
If you're seeing decreased daytime movement and you know where they're bedding, push the limits. If you want to kill a big buck, the thing is I think I touched on it this past season in sea bucks when I was talking about chasing dibs. It's hot and we should wait and blah, blah, blah. You're a deer hunter. What are you trying to do? Mm-hmm. You're trying to kill your target animal, whether it be any animal to put food on the table, whether it be a 1.5-year-old buck, whether it be your first buck, your first deer, whether it be 5.5-year-old or older buck. No matter what you're trying to go after, we're trying to kill something, so why be passive about it? Live in the now. If you know there's a buck there, you know where they're living, you know where their movements are, be aggressive. Get in there. Kill them. Why pitter-patter around and be the... Yes, I do understand that if you're hunting a food plot like they do in the Midwest, it's different. They make kill plots, they do this and that. They don't want to disturb the natural flow of deer to that food source. I understand that.
It is totally different here, man.
Well, this is, suburban hunting. We talk about that. You may have a 5-acre piece of woods where you have permission to hunt. It's a postage stamp. And if they're not in that piece of woods, well, then you're out of luck. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they might not come back there. So when they're in there and you know they're in there, yes, pay attention to the wind, but you got to be aggressive if you want to kill.
To go.
Yeah.
Hunting is literally the least passive thing, killing, right? You're out there to kill, like you said. You cannot take it.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I mean, killing is great, but I think every true hunter has a little period of remorse after.
Oh, of course.
I mean, after I killed Sluggo there, I literally was depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I called out of work the next day. I had myself a little party.
5-year relationship with him, right?
But afterwards, it was like, I am never going to get another trail camera picture of him after racking up thousands of them. It's just, I think every true hunter has that, There's certain times where I love to eat venison. We had venison last night. We eat 2-3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe some elk.
No, we're all out of elk. Hopefully we'll be restocking that here in a couple weeks, and hopefully with mule deer too. But certain times I wish I could shoot a giant buck, take a picture of it, pet it, grab its antlers, and then go blow life back into it and watch it run off.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, there's also times where I like to sit here in my man cave and look at my mounts. So it's their total respect for the animal.
There's something very emotional about killing a buck, even a deer, any animal. I walk up to a deer and I get I've gotten close to crying before, and I
cried when I shot him.
Yeah, it's like
I was a blubbering fat mess.
Yeah.
I sound like a fat school kid who somebody stole.
It's such a rush, isn't it? It's like it's the highest high, and then it's like an immediate depression
it's a total release of endorphins. And,
a minute or two. It's a swing, but that's why we do
bipolar.
it, because nothing can really move us like that, right? How old do you think Sluggo was? Did you age him, or?
I actually have his teeth downstairs. Brett Joy wants me to keep sending him out, but I am cheap and I'm too busy to like fill out an envelope and do all this and that. I will send him off eventually, but according to the pictures we had of him from years past, we had him between 8.5 and 9.5 years old.
Yep.
From the first pictures we had him where we thought he was 4.5.
He was a shooter the first. You wanted him that first year.
Oh yeah.
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 And so, what did his antlers do? How did they change?
He started off as a pretty massive, decent length tined 8-pointer. Then the following year went into a 10-pointer with like 1 or 2 inch G4s. And then the third year we were after him, he blew right up to probably like a mid 150s 10-pointer, just wide, huge, 200 pound deer, like legit 200 pound deer, just a monster. And then this last year when I killed him, he was what he is now, which his tines got a little bit shorter. His tips went out a little bit further. His bases are 5.5 inches. He got a little bit more meaty on the bases, and he was 195 or 6 pounds dressed. I think when you kill a 200-pound deer, I mean,
it's a great deer.
Oh, it's a great deer. But I think most 200-pound deer, are in their 4 or 5 year, maybe even 6-year-old range. It's when like you're shooting a 22, 23-year-old college athlete.
Yeah, in their prime.
Yeah, in their prime. I'm not talking about like a cross-country runner either. I'm talking like a solid, 200-pound. That's when they're muscular, and when they get to be that age, they don't fight as much. They don't, run as much.
And deer in Massachusetts, it's even more rare to get a 200-pound deer than Maine, New Hampshire. The farther north you go, the bigger bodies, right?
Yeah. I do believe there's actually an inverse relationship between the body size and the antler size. I think deer that you kill that are 200 pounds aren't going to have the biggest racks, but those who have the bigger racks aren't going to weigh over 200 pounds. It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
that
interesting.
That deer right there, that 10-pointer, came out of the same piece of wood as Sluggo, and he was 216 pounds.
Mm-hmm. And his rack is smaller.
Oh, way smaller. It's like 121 inches, I think.
Yeah. So what's the key to if somebody listening that wants to kill a deer as good as Sluggo, as good as these deer on the wall? Like what is the number one thing you would tell them first? I mean, we covered getting in the woods.
I'll be honest with you, if I knew the key, it's I'd be writing a book, or I'd be a professional or something. I don't know. I definitely don't know the key, but I know what's worked for me is basically blunt force stupidity and not giving up.
Yeah. Persistence.
Persistent.
Yeah.
Consistent persistence.
Yep. And you killed him, you said, on a high wind day?
Yeah, 30, 40 mile an hour gusts.
Yep. And was it swirling or what?
Oh, yeah. No, it was pretty consistent that day.
Okay.
It was blowing out of the northeast.
Yeah.
Which allowed me to hunt the little patch where I killed him.
How much do you take the wind into consideration?
I mean, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but the thing is, when you're hunting in the suburbs, you can't help it. If you only have a certain number, I mean, you have to have... Here's my thing. If you have a spot or buck you're after, and the wind is, it's not good, I'll go mow the lawn today. I'll go do this and that.
But he's in there because of a camp pick or something.
My thing is, man, I've got 3 kids at home and a wife. She works full-time job. I work full-time job. If I get, a day where I can hunt, the wind's not right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do macrame with the kids.
No.
There's different approaches you can make. You have to have multiple different approaches for different winds to hunt a certain buck. If they're bedded in one area, hunt the fringe spot where, the wind's blowing not through his bedding area, but he may come out and walk through there after he goes through the main area where he would have hunted him or before.
Yep.
There's an old southern saying there's many slips twixt a cup and a lip. So there's many ways around to hunt a deer. It's not just one spot. If you hunt one stand, I mean, that's why I use a mobile setup.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you got to pay attention to the wind. Long story short, yeah.
You got it. They got good noses, but
right.
If you have limited time to get in the woods, get in the woods.
Get in the woods. Yeah. I mean, don't be stupid about it.
Yep.
You know.
Do you so in a scenario like that you're going in, the wind is swirling, you don't really have the best approach for the wind, but you know he's there somewhere, and you said, like you said, hunt a fringe spot, maybe not your go-to spot because the approach isn't going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go to that fringe spot and then do you utilize calling to try to get him
Yeah.
over there? How do you?
I'm a big fan of calling, and here's my thing that. So I'm a stickler for scent control.
Yep.
One of my cameraman Chris argues with me that we shouldn't get dressed in the truck and then drive there, which he's right. But I don't want to be getting out in Suburbia and putting my clothes on and hanging around for 10 minutes getting dressed and this and that.
Yeah.
Not that it's illegal, but it draws unwanted attention.
Right.
You know, I want to be able to boom, park in the woods, get my spot quick and quiet, set up, make the noise you're going to make quick and get it over with.
Now that's how I've always.
You know,
I've never killed a big deer, but that's how I've always done it too. And I see deer. I see a lot of deer. But.
Right. That being said, like I spray down my truck seats. I've gone as far as to cover them in garbage bags.
Yeah.
And I go through about a bottle of scent killer a week. And I wash my clothes every third sit.
And you probably use.
Unless I kill something, in which case I wash it right after I kill.
Yep.
So.
And you use scentless soap when you shower, all that stuff.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Of course. I have. This is scent-free field foam. Basically, it's you spray your hand, it foams up like mousse. You run through your hair, your whole body, your armpits, whatever.
You do that in the field.
I do it in the truck. This is scent-free body lotion.
Yep.
So the big thing that deer smell is like dead skin cells of humans, and the microbes eat that and produce this gas, and they smell it. Yada yada yada. Body lotion.
Yep.
Don't dry skin sucks. You know, I got my. This is all. I have all this stuff that I utilize.
Yep.
I mean, people are like, oh, it's a guy's killed giant bucks wearing plaid and Carhartt pants and smoked a pipe the whole time. Yeah, they sure did, dude. My grandfather did too. But you know what? Deer are smarter than they used to be. I do believe that they evolve.
You think they've evolved?
Oh yeah.
From your grandfather when he was smoking cigarettes in the stand.
But it was also way harder back then. Like there's not as many deer as there were back then. But they've evolved. But also we're trying to gun hunting and bow hunting are two different things.
Oh,
completely.
for sure.
You know?
Yeah, you can get a buck within 100 yards, and he knows that you're 100 yards away, right? Yeah. So you can still have a chance with him. Your scent, I would say, isn't as important with the gun.
Especially if you're using
and especially if you're tracking and
they cut your scent at 100 yards and they go, oh gosh, it's too late.
Yeah,
you should have the crosshairs on them with the safety off.
Yep.
But back to this whole scent and wind thing.
Yep.
I use a lot of deer scent. Like I like using buck urine, dominant buck urine, interdigital gland scent. You know, I use preorbital gland scent, forehead. You know, all those scents. You know, on the licking branches. And depending on the time of year, I don't use a lot of doe estrus because I do think that it gets overused.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever seen one doe in estrus, have you ever seen a doe in estrus running around?
Yeah.
There'll be a train of bucks behind her. Just every move she makes, backing around, and they won't leave her. If doe estrus scent was that good, and guys were dumping gallons of it out in the woods like they do every year, don't you think every buck would be going crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't compete with doe estrus. But what you can do is like, I like dominant buck. Every buck likes to fight.
So do you buy that from a brand, or because we were talking with our guest last week, Jeff. He's a great hunter and bow hunter up in New Hampshire, and what he likes to do is when there's snow on the ground and he's tracking with his rifle and he's in a tracking scenario and he's tracking what he knows is a dominant buck, he'll collect their piss. He'll scoop up a little of the snow, put it into a bottle and save it, and then take it home and freeze it. Just leave it there all, and then next when it comes time to make a mock scrape, he'll thaw it out and use it.
Yeah. I've seen people do that. I mean, man, there's so many tricks. I used to go to an area where, like every town in Massachusetts has conservation land or whatever.
Yeah.
Or say there's one spot where you hunt and you'll have a licking branch. Every deer hits.
Yep.
And you use gloves, cut down that licking branch. Don't touch it. Bring it, put it in a plastic bag, bring it out to a spot where you know there's giant bucks, and zip tie it to a tree, make your own licking branch. I've had huge success with that.
I like that.
I mean, back in New York, you used to shoot a doe in the middle of November.
And then you bring that.
Anytime you gut out a doe and you have a full bladder.
So do you have like a favorite licking branch, a lucky one that you bring around with you all the time?
I only once a year. I've only done it a couple. I haven't done it recently.
That'd be funny if you had it like it's in your fridge right now and it's your good luck charm. You bring that branch with you wherever you go.
Yeah, I wish I had one of those. But another thing is like you shoot a doe in November. Yeah. You have a full bladder when you're gutting her out. Mm-hmm. I always bring an empty pee bottle with me.
Yep.
Empty the bladder right into that. Now,
Actually, you can do the same thing with your buck, right? If you want to get his.
Yeah, you could. But here's the thing that people don't understand. Once you expose urine to oxygen, it starts to break down to ammonia almost immediately. That's why people can pee in a scrape and have bucks tear it up. Because after a matter of minutes, it turns to ammonia.
I just did that today. I don't know if it's going to work.
It'll work. You'll get attention to it. But foxes, raccoons, everything, because it's ammonia. Me, personally, I don't like to pee out of my tree stand. And I talk to guys. I mean, Brett pees out of a tree stand. He believes in it. But the difference being is when you're hunting big woods. And this is what I learned. I mean, I still go back to New York and hunt every year in big woods, you know. But when you're hunting in the suburbs and you know, who here has had a Dunkin' Donuts, you take a leak and like, man, I can still smell my dunks in my pee. When you're hunting and you're set up within 150 yards of the buck you want to shoot, do you really want the place to smell like Dunkin' Donuts?
Well, here's a question. What do you think about? I don't know too much about it, but I have a theory that the bucks in Suburbia, if it is a small patch of woods, they're just more used to human scent in general and kids playing and the sounds and all these things, right? That they're a little bit more comfortable to be around. That kind of a scent. What do you think about that? Like, are they used to us more here? I mean, they're still smart. They're old, dominant, mature bucks. I
think they tolerate more.
Yeah.
To a point. They're not dumb. Everybody thinks shooting. I mean, come on. You and I went to college in Vermont.
Only spike.
You grew up in Vermont.
Yeah.
How many times you heard Vermonters say, "Oh, them suburban, them city deer are stupid. They're easy to kill." Sure, you killed a 150. I could kill the 150 if I hunted in the city in the burbs.
The only dumb deer is a spikehorn. The young, he's
1.5-year-old. The 1.5-year-old bucks are stupid. But even so, like, man, I remember growing up. Shit, I would spikehorn. You kidding me?
Yeah.
I'd love to shoot a spikehorn. I'd tie it on the roof of my 1991 Mitsubishi Galant and drive around town.
So you went to Castleton.
I went to Castleton.
My Castleton, Vermont, and my family's deer camp, which has been in Castleton, Hubbardton.
Yeah.
Since 1958, and we have a list on the wall of all the deer killed there, and 80% of them are spikehorns.
Right, which is why you guys now you probably have bigger bucks you've ever had before.
There's bigger bucks. Yeah, we're getting more 8-pointers, and my uncle got a 10-pointer last year.
Because you guys aren't shooting spikehorns.
But they don't believe the older guys at camp. No. My dad, and my
there's
uncle.
A reason why, and
they don't believe in that. They think
my father doesn't either. We live in New York, and my dad's vehemently opposed to antler restrictions, and I understand why. Because the thing is, they grew up in a different time where
and then they're meat hunters.
You never sniff a gift fish. You know what that means?
What?
Don't look at gift horse. I'm not same thing. Don't sniff a gift fish. Is in like they're giving you free meat for your freezer.
Yeah.
You shoot it. You tag it. You say thank God.
And
then you go home and have 16 Molsons.
And some of my best memories are shooting spikehorns out of that camp.
God,
it's. Camp is all about the camaraderie and the tradition of going up there with the guys.
Unfortunately, this year on Sea Bucks, I went back to New York. We did the whole deer camp because that's what we do every year for the open day rifle season.
Yeah.
It didn't make the cut this year, but I think it will. There's certain parts that will. But it's the potluck at the camp and a few beers and some stories. The hunt videos go on in the background.
Yep.
That's what it's about.
The celebration when somebody gets a deer and everybody rallying around them and just having a good time.
Right. Right. I mean, let's see. What's the smallest deer in here?
Let me take a look at him. That's a nice deer.
Yeah,
that would be my biggest deer.
It's a 206-pound 6-pointer. I shot in New York with my bow. It's the only New York deer in here. Yep. All my New York mounts are in New York.
He looks like he might have been on the way down. Is he an old? He looks like
no, he was a toad.
9-10 years old, and
the funny story about him. I never scout New York because I'm too busy out here scouting, but I'm going back. Actually, I'm leaving Saturday to go back to help my dad. He put food plots in. My dad's 70. God bless him. And he almost lost his leg in a tree felling accident about 5 years ago.
Oh no.
Yeah. But I was out hunting with my buddy Dougie, and there's just a traditional spot we always go to. There's a thicket with beech nuts, and then 100 yards away there's a cluster of farm apple trees. It's always loaded. And Doug goes, "Oh man, I almost just shot a coyote." He texts me, all of a sudden I hear a noise, turn around, and here comes this beautiful blonde coyote. I'm like, sweet. I draw back, put the pin on it, shoot, and all of a sudden I hear ding 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 ding. Those are my dogs. I hear ding 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 ding, and the arrow takes off, and I hit it, had a deflection, and then the coyote took off running like somebody just caught his tail on fire, just right to the corner of this old cornfield.
Yeah.
I was like, crap. So I get another arrow, knock it, and all of a sudden I hear, I look up, and here comes this giant buck. The coyote had run down towards this corner, scared this buck. The buck turned and started running towards me. Ran up. I went, meh, at 22 yards, right through the heart, ran up, stopped, dropped dead.
Awesome.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. I called my dad. I said, Dad, grab your bow, get over here. I think he's down, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because he went duck hunting that morning because he wasn't comfortable climbing trees yet. Mm-hmm. Met us up, and we only had 300 or 400 yards to the truck. Still took us 4 hours to drag him out. He was heavy.
Big boy.
Yeah, and it was like October 4th.
What do you name him? You got a name for him?
We call him Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty?
Because my dad's name is Bruce.
All right, yep.
And he was never supposed to be able to walk again, and he's walking fine. And actually, the first year back, he shot himself an 8-pointer with his bow. So,
all right.
Awesome. And that's one of my favorite bucks ever. I mean, he's 110 inches or something like that. But he's one of my all-time favorite bucks. I got 160s in here, but that's because the memory. My dad was so proud. My dad's like, I can't believe he's only got 6 points. He's got 5-inch bases.
There's something cool about a big 6-pointer.
Yeah, I love big sixes. I got a 6 mounted in New York too. Yeah. The only bucks I've mounted from New York are 6-pointers, really, except for 9.
Yeah, don't go hunting in New York and Vermont unless you want. You're just doing it for the memories.
Well,
but there is some really good hunting. There is some.
So it depends on where you are. My buddy Joe Winsky and Kyle and John, these guys. I mean, dude, the hunting public guys went up. Zach went up this year and hunted with my friend in New York and killed a 150.
Yeah, my buddy lives
up near Champlain area.
In the Finger Lakes, where all the wine country, you got some huge deer.
Giant bucks.
I'm basically talking about stay out of Castleton, Vermont, and Whitehall, New York.
Areas. yeah. Bennington.
Yeah.
Isn't there a big deer farm in Bennington, like a big penned deer place?
I don't know.
God.
I don't know, but it's funny you mentioned about the coyote. I've seen a lot of deer after a coyote has went through my stand.
Well, that's what people like. Oh man, there's coyotes around here. Should I give the spot? I should give up on here. Deer don't care. Yeah. They live with them. They live with them. Now there's a spot I've had packs of 10, 15 coyotes. Like everyone, like man, I'm getting pictures of coyotes until October 1st hits, and then you get a big buck in there. Coyotes are gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know much about coyotes. I just know I shoot them when I see them, and if it's in season. Yeah. That's my big to do with.
Some guys might be like listening. They're like, just getting in. We want to get new bow hunters into the landscape here, and if you see a coyote run through, don't think your hunt is blown up. That coyote might push something to you, right?
Oh, for sure.
And
or even so, I mean, I've got pictures of deer 2 feet from a coyote.
Yep.
Like they live with them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It is what it is. Coyotes are an integral part of the ecosystem around here as well.
Yeah.
Nothing goes to waste in Mother Nature,
So go back to the spike horn thing real quick. So, my uncle, my dad, all the old guys at camp, their theory is that why would you shoot, if you're shooting spike horns, you're taking out the inferior deer from the population.
That's been debunked by, what was his name? I think his name was something Morris. That you cannot tell the genetics of a deer by a spike horn. It's the first year of growth.
Yep.
I think they had documented a buck that was a spike horn, like a 4-inch by 6-inch spike horn. The next year it was a 6-pointer. The year after that it was a 120-inch 8-pointer. The year after that it was a 150-inch 10-pointer. It's what you don't understand is that it's only a certain percentage of the genetics come from the father. You have the mom.
Yeah, right.
You also have nutrition.
Think about breeding horses and thoroughbreds.
Right,
Right.
Yep. It's the mom as well, and it's also like the nutrition. If you have poor nutrition, you're gonna have poor antler growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's poor minerals. You're gonna have poor antler growth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Half of these bucks might have been spike horns in their first year.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
I'm sure 90% of deer in their first year of growth are a spike horn. They're bucks. And not 90%. 90% of bucks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And if shooting a spike horn makes you happy and it's legal, God bless you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yep.
That's
especially if you're just getting into hunting. I mean, take a spike horn, man. I think you got to get your first kill out of the way. A lot of people they get into it and they think I gotta wait for a trophy or people are gonna make fun of me or I'm not gonna feel good about it.
Right. I think the best teacher or mentor in the woods is experience.
Yeah.
Mother Nature. Be around deer. See what they do. See how they act. See how they act when they're shot. See how they act when they're missed. See how they act when they're poorly shot. That's where you're going to learn. See how they react when you move or make your mistakes and learn from them. That's the best way to learn it because I can sit here. I wouldn't even say I'm a good hunter, but you can tell people what you know to be truth, but they're not going to follow until they see it with their own eyes.
Yeah, that's just you being modest, though.
You're definitely there are far better hunters, in my town probably than me, let alone this whole state. I just spend time in the woods and hunt how I
And you learned something every
set.
Like, and even today, you probably learned something. I don't know what it was, but you went in the woods, you hung a camera, you probably learned something.
Yeah, I learned quite. Every time there's something to be learned. Every time you go in the woods.
Yeah, and people just got to realize, like, it's about the adventure.
Right.
You don't see deer. It doesn't.
It's not
matter,
about
like,
getting there. It's about how you get there.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, I mean, I hate to say the outdoor industry in total, but a lot of people, everybody likes to see a big buck get shot on TV. And
that's
cool.
boring to me, though, man.
And it's cool, man. Hell,
if they're coming into a food plot or it's like Midwest, that stuff is boring to me.
When I first started doing this, I think this is gonna be my 13th or 14th year in the outdoor industry. When I first started filming this, I mean, we were filming in New York and some in Massachusetts, and like I killed like a 4-pointer, a half-rack spike horn. Like we were killing small bucks. And we were getting messages from people like Pennsylvania, like, dude, we love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's better than a 150-inch 8-pointer getting shot in Iowa, a ladder stand over a pile of corn.
Because it felt real, right? It felt
like what we can relate to.
Something that they can go do.
Yeah, and it's cool, man. Like, I still like seeing small bucks and this and that.
Yeah.
But I like feeding my family, so then thank God for doe tags.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you? How do you hunt the early season? So October 5th is the opener in Massachusetts. I'm really excited for that. And my strategy going into this year, I've got a couple bucks that I'm targeting, and I've got on camera. And early October, they haven't really. They're still closer to the patterns they had in the summer, right? So stay next to the near the food. Or what's your strategy in the early season to kill one of your target bucks?
My strategy for early season.
What is your strategy?
Well, I'm not a giant fan of early season, but if you have a buck that last year, I'm sure you watched the bucks dibs.
Yeah.
I put a camera out in a new spot in August. I never hang cameras in August. I'm like, it's a waste of time. Come December, I'll be burnt out.
Yeah.
And I got pictures of this, not just one, 2 giant bucks. I was like, holy, all right, they'll disappear. Once they go hard horn, they'll disappear. Well, they disappeared for a week. They came back hard horn. I was like, oh my gosh. Then I stayed on them. I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Colorado, see what happens. Got pictures of them all through Colorado. I was like, geez. I came back, and a week later, and they was like, man, I'm still getting, he didn't leave.
Yeah.
So I literally had my heart set on hunting him, like people, I'm not saying they're wrong. People have their own way of hunting. It's their way to do it. Just me, I don't set tree stands until I know where I'm going to be hunting. People like, I got a picture of this buck in June. He's a shooter. He's 6.5 years old. I got my stand set. We're good to go. Yeah, but what if he's not there?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I have cell cameras. I have regular cameras. I don't have all of them out right now. I save them because I like hitting new pieces of woods or hitting a different piece I haven't hit yet. As soon as I find a scrape with a big old hoof print, guess what? I'm going to hang a camera on it. I like to have backpack cameras, as I call them.
Yep.
And swinger bucks. Brett, Joy, and I were talking about swinger bucks the other day. They're bucks that are shooters, but not your number 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
In case your 1 or 2 take a trip for a week and don't come back, in the places where you can hunt them, you have these swinger bucks you can hunt. It's my tactic is hunting. My tactic for hunting, no matter when the season is MRI, most recent intel.
Mm-hmm.
You get a picture of a buck moving consistently 3 days out of the week in daylight in this one spot.
You're going there.
You better be there. Yeah.
Yep.
If you have him moving after night and you know which way it's coming from, you need to poke in a little bit further, find out where he's coming from.
What do you think kept those bucks in that spot August, September? You were getting, like for me, I think I've got a similar spot where I
what it was actually a big piece of woods with a finger that came out.
Yeah.
And in that finger, there was a little neighborhood, and one of the neighborhood trees, actually 2 of the neighborhood trees were absolutely loaded with apples, like hanging with apples. And I'd drive by there in the morning.
They love those apples.
And I'd look, I'm like, man, look at all the apples on the grass. I drive by the next morning, gone. I was like, they're hammered. And then you could drive by slow, you'd see clumps of deer poop in the yard. I'm like, man, they're hanging out close, bedding close by. As soon as it gets dark, they're getting right in there.
Yeah.
This year, there's no apples. So I don't have any pictures of Dibs. He might be dead.
There.
There's other hunters in there, too.
And there's acorns everywhere this year.
There are a lot of acorns.
What's your strategy on a heavy acorn year like that?
Find the white oaks that are dropping and holding acorns.
And sit there in the evening.
Well, there's no use just sitting there if there's no fresh deer sign. Like if the deer aren't there, no use sitting there. Go until you find a spot where there's some activity.
Are your cameras?
This is the difference in the last 10 years between 10 years ago and now. I'm using a lot more innovative ways of hunting as far as like using cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I remember back in the day we used to have a timer. It was a timer with a tripwire.
They actually had the rolls of film.
Yeah. No.
Oh, even before
that.
Before
that. This was a timer and a tripwire. And when someone would walk
crazy.
across the path, it would stop the clock, so you'd find out what time the game was going down the game path.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the 35 millimeter cameras. Then we have the 14-pound cameras that were the size of my face. They were huge. And then they went down to regular SD card cameras, and then now cell cameras. And, I mean, people...
When do you think technology is going to get to be too much?
It's on the brink of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Being a father of 3 and working full-time and having a pretty full life, having cell cameras really, really makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah. It definitely cuts down time.
It does. New Hampshire has that law. You can't hunt within 24 hours getting a picture of an animal. And I respect that law. That makes sense to me.
Yep. It's like when you're flying into Alaska or Canada, and you can't hunt the same day because you can see the animals.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Now, there used to be a saying, still is for turkey hunting, calling roosted ain't roasted. Mm-hmm. Just because you get a bird on the roost doesn't mean you're going to kill it. Yeah. Well, just because you get a picture of a deer doesn't mean you're going to kill it.
I've never killed one that I had a picture of. But I'm new to all the heavy scouting.
Picture. No picture.
No picture on
the New York
Bruce
buck.
Almighty.
No, that was a straight up lucky coyote buck. Didn't even know it existed. I shot that buck, and the day I shot him, my buddy Brent came over, and he goes, I saw that deer a mile from there the other day at last light. He goes, that deer's huge body. I said, yeah. He goes, that. And then his wife was like, oh, yeah, no, that's him.
I wonder how old he is. He does look old.
I figured him at 6.5, but it's hard to tell. He had a short body. He was 206 pounds, though.
Yeah.
And that was early October. Boy. Early October, yeah.
Do you weigh all your bucks? Because in Mass, a lot of people don't, and you check it in on, online.
In New York, nobody does. I just started doing it when I moved to Massachusetts.
I gotta weigh my bucks. I have to know. I don't know.
I mean, well, that's because in Vermont, you ain't got crap for horns. You gotta have something to brag about with the weight, Yeah. Yeah. I've sent some teeth out on a few of these deer, but they're, I'm totally in a very zen place in my hunting career right now, where I feel very blessed. Like, I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities. I have missed some phenomenal opportunities of some giant bucks. Do I lose sleep over it? Not anymore. I mean,
you didn't lose sleep over dibs?
No, my cameraman Cody and I had 4 or 5 vodka and sodas, and I slept like a baby.
Yeah. And you hunting him again this year?
No pictures of him. I think he's dead.
You think he's dead?
Yeah. For every guy you see who consistently kills big bucks in Massachusetts, there's 4 or 5 guys who kill toads, and you never hear of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because they're quiet and they want to keep to themselves. To me, I like to share my experiences with people, and I understand both sides, and I respect that. I've been criticized quite a bit for sharing my experiences, and people think I know everything, and
yeah, there's always going to be somebody.
And laying myself out there. I understand that, but like, man, how many times have you been hunting and you see something so cool, like you saw a red-tailed hawk swoop down, grab a squirrel, or a rough grouse drumming 2 feet away from your face, and you're like, man, I wish you could see that.
Oh yeah.
Well, guess what? With a cameraman, whatever, you can share that with everybody. I think it's awesome,
I like, even with the sun just coming up, the woods are waking up around you, and you look up and there's an owl on your tree. Yeah. He's looking down at you. There's just cool shit.
Did you see that episode of that buck I never an 8-pointer rattled in on sea bucks this year? His name's Hebus.
Yes, I did.
You know how he got that name, Hebus?
No.
I kept texting Brett. Brett and I were texting back and forth, and I kept writing, he is huge. He is, he is here. Yeah. And it kept autocorrecting to Hebus. Hebus, because of big fat thumbs. And so, dude, that's that buck's name, Hebus.
Hebus. That sounds like a big old bad buck,
Hebus.
Too.
I mean, that's a 200-pound deer, but not much for rack. But, like...
It was kind of like thick rack, but it was, right?
Yeah, but you see that video. That's how it happened in real time.
That's the one that was running all back and forth.
I literally, it was still dark out, and he guys running through, and I was like, do we have a shooting light? Because he's right here at 20 yards. He's like, oh, I can't see him. I'm like, oh, God, you're killing me. He runs off. We talk for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to rattle. I think I said 100% of the time, this works 50% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I literally... my cameraman, he was laughing. He's like, I've never seen anybody grunt like that, like using a grunt tube when I rattle. If you've ever seen bucks fight in real life, they breathe heavy. So I'll be rattling, and I go,
yeah,
when I rattle, and especially that time, which is November 1 through 10, and I literally grunt a few times, rattle, crash, crash, crash. I take a pause, and I just hang the horns up and go, he's coming. He goes, what do you mean? I said, he's coming. Grab the bow, turn around. He came charging up over the hill.
Did you just have a feeling he was coming, or you heard him? Or
I heard him. I heard a twig snap.
Yeah.
And he came flying up over the top of the hill, comes right down, and he stops broadside at 40 yards.
Perfect.
And I guessed him at 40 yards. I moved my sight to 40 yards. And he's sitting there. He takes another step. His head's behind a tree, and I range him at 40 yards. I'm sitting there, and he's like, do you have a shot? I'm like, I do, but I think he's going to come closer. He's like, all right. Next thing I know, I hear this noise. I look. He whips his head behind him, and this 3.5-year-old buck come over the hill. And he turns, bristles up, start stiff legging back towards him. He goes through. You can see in the video, and the shooting leg go. Meow.
So you instigated a fight.
Yeah, I go. Meow. Try to get him to stop. Nope. He still bristled, ears back, goes after, chases that buck off. And I was like, dude, I can't believe that just happened. I should have shot. And he goes, yeah, you should have shot. It's like, oh well, whatever. 40 minutes later, I rattle again, nothing, and the does come in, and he starts chasing around, comes right across this big opening at 40 yards. I had him at 42 yards, quartering two.
Mm-hmm.
And I will take a quartering two shot to the cardiothoracic opening in the chest. That's a good shot for elk. It has to be the right time, the right yardage.
You got to be
42
super
yards,
confident.
and I'm shooting 500 grain arrows.
Yep.
42 yards is not the range to do that at. Not on a deer with that much muscle and that much bone density. Like, he's a big buck. So he's quartering two. He turns, and I go, Meow. He stops right behind a willow tree. I'm like, oh God, for 13, like a nanosecond, he stops, and then boom, keeps off chasing the does. And he came back in 2 other times that day. And then that was it. That was the last time we saw him.
All right, let's get into last week's raffle real quick. I just want to say that moving forward, we're going to anybody who commented, liked, and did all the stuff that we asked you to do in the first 2 episodes, you're going to be entered into all the future drawings as well. And it's going to work kind of like, the Moose Lottery does up in Maine and many states, where you can accumulate points as the weeks go on. So if you keep on liking, subscribing, commenting, leaving us reviews, all of that stuff, the more that you do, the more you're going to be entered into the raffle. And I just want to say, so for this week, we're drawing 2 different winners for Big Woods Bucks prizes. And one was from YouTube, one was from Instagram. But moving forward, no matter what you do, if you are, engaging with the podcast on any of our platforms, leaving us 5-star reviews, leaving a written review on iTunes, those are big. It's really going to help boost us up the rankings and, get us in front of more hunters and ultimately helping to attract new hunters into the landscape. So let's draw this week's winners. From YouTube, the winner is famous actor Rob Lowe. Yeah, I didn't even know he was listening to the podcast, but I'm humbled that you are, Rob. I like a lot of your work. Shoot us an email at huntsuburbia@gmail.com. We'll confirm it's you, and we will get you over the Big Woods Bucks fanny pack. It's a really great pack. I have it. I use it anytime I'm still hunting or, pretty much rifle hunting in Vermont. I'll carry that thing around so I don't have to carry a big heavy backpack on my back. And then for the second raffle from Instagram, this is for 3 books. 2 books written by Hal Blood, 1 by Mark Sheeran, full of great tips and hunting stories, and whether you plan on tracking or not, it's really going to help you out in your hunting. We'll draw that name right now, and that winner is Outdoor Avidity. So please shoot us an email, huntsuburbia@gmail.com. Everybody continue to please like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment, write a review, all of that good stuff, and we will get you into the raffle every single week. We've got 9 more subscriptions to Onyx coming up, and a few other sponsors that are interested too. So as long as we got sponsors that are continuing to give us amazing prizes to give away, we will continue to give away something every single week. So what is your strategy for calling? Like, when do you call? Do you start calling? Some guys will start calling before daylight. Other guys don't like to disturb anything.
What's the point of calling before daylight?
Well, like 10 minutes before.
No, I know, but even so, they come running in like that. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like, here's the other thing too, and I gotta say, I'm very honest with everybody. I'm no angel. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know this up until 5 years ago. I thought as soon as you could see, you could shoot.
Yep.
Like New York, you have to follow the rules. Like, it's sunset.
Yep.
Massachusetts, I think 30 minutes after or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
Vermont's
I've been very lucky with with filming. You're limited for the light, but filming before daylight's just. I know you're anxious and everything. Just wait 10 more minutes. Because if they are there, they come running in. They're going to make an unethical shot. You can't see your pins. You're going to, spray and pray. Don't even bother.
But do you wait and then immediately call it daylight?
No, not always. Honestly, I go by a feeling. I don't think I've ever seen a deer. I don't think I've ever scared a deer off hunting. Hunting. Oh my God, I've definitely scared deer off hunting. By rattling.
Yeah.
I do blind calling, but not crazy. God, I've sat there. I've heard people tip a can over 15 times when they first came. Now, here's why I think deer evolve. Okay, when they first came out with the can call, and I know about 10 guys who will verify this. You could tip that can over, and bucks come from all over. Meow. All of a sudden, you give a buck 500 yards away. Just come beeline right to that spot. Nowadays, I've seen mature bucks, young bucks, whatever. You tip a can call, they're like, oh, I've heard that 50 times today.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So think about it. So they get used to it. They get conditioned to it. You know what I mean? It's like in New York, you can owl hoot at a roosted turkey. They won't gobble at it anymore. In certain areas in New York.
Yeah.
You know, hit them with a coyote howl, they'll hit it.
Yeah. And you got crows. Crows pass down. You ever heard the story about how crows pass down the fear?
Yeah.
You know, a farmer shot a crow in like 1920 and killed a crow, and all the flock knew that farmer was dangerous, recognized his face, put his face to memory. Whenever they saw him coming up the driveway or he was 500 yards away, they'd recognize his gait and everything about him. That's the danger. They're gone. And then that passed down all the way, passed down the lineage, and eventually crows just avoided that farm altogether. But there's something about, animals are smarter than we think, even those dumb spike horns.
Well, that's the thing is when you start thinking about it, how do I put this without making myself sound like a jackass, even though I am one? People give animals like turkeys too much credit. I mean, don't get me wrong. They are beautiful birds. I love hunting them like crazy. Yep. I mean, I've killed a lot of turkeys. I love hunting turkeys. Everybody knows that. But you give them a little bit too much credit. Like, oh man, they remember my decoy setup. No, turkeys have a very small brain per body size. Mm-hmm. Literally have dusted their brother and have them sit there and be like, oh, what's going on with my brother? Oh, nothing. I guess I'm gonna go over there and peck him a few times. But turkeys are paranoid creatures. They have an incredible instinct for sight and hearing. Mm-hmm. Deer are a different animal. They're quadrupeds. They can lock some things in the memory. I've seen deer get used to. So that's why also another thing I do that I feel is led to my success is deer will pattern your movement in your scent and everything like that. So I was hunting this buck right here.
What's his name?
He didn't have one. Redemption buck, to be honest with you. There's a long story behind that one I won't get into. But that deer used to park the truck, walk down, get set up. Yeah, his left eye is foggy. He's blind, his left eye.
Yeah, he's got a gray eye. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Walk down, set up, walk down. I hunted him for a month straight, just him. From October 25th till I shot him December 23rd. And I never thought of it, but bump, same way, because it was the easiest way in and out, less impact, scent, wind was perfect, easy walking.
Yeah.
The day I killed him, I parked 400 yards away, came from a different direction, only because I had to drop my dad off in another spot where he was going to hunt. Mm-hmm. Got down in there and killed him.
It is a lot of if something goes out of your pattern, and like in Vermont a couple of years ago I shot a 6-pointer, but I was planning on hunting a different spot that day based on the wind. I drove all the way there. The gate was closed, and it's a real long log road to get up in there. I didn't want to walk all the way, so last second game plan. Sometimes those days are the best days that they just end up killing something on those days,
right?
So with him, and also this year, I think, like you said, I think they heard there's some places where you can park and you're not, especially in Suburbia, you're not going too far away from where you're parking. You might only have 5 acres, but maybe they hear your door, right? Yeah. So park a little bit further away.
Yep.
I'm gonna do that this year because I think I have noticed that deer are on the camera about the time that I'm parking, and I'll go get it later, and I'll see, they just got alerted to something around the time I close the door.
One of the things my father always taught me is like, why drive when you can walk with a gun in your hand?
Or a bicycle.
Bicycle is a new thing. I'll be honest with you, I don't trust myself with one of those things. I'll fall down and hurt myself.
I've been riding my mountain bike. The quiet cats and those things, the electric, those are the new.
Those are the new fad. Not fad. I would say fad. It's revolutionary.
Yeah. Leaves your scent off the ground.
Right. But do they classify as a motorized vehicle?
Yeah. There's going to be all kinds of laws in different states.
But my dad always says, like, why, well, we're going to drive up in there and drop to the guys. Well, I'll walk. I'll meet you guys. And half the time I get a shot at a deer.
Yeah.
If you're in the woods with a gun in your hand, you can shoot something. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a chance. So we've never taken four-wheelers. We've never taken side-by-sides. If we can drive up in a cornfield with a truck, we park on the road and walk. Just because. Leave things how they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something my father and my grandfather instilled, well, maybe not my grandfather, my father instilled in me a long time ago. My father was probably one of the most successful hunters in our family. You know, my grandfather rarely shot deer. My uncle could shoot. One of my uncles was very accurate, but he never shot much, you know. My dad was the most consistent. He always killed deer. Yep. And so I really honed in on what he had to teach, you know. That was my base in hunting. Until then, it was just...
When did you start hunting? How old were you?
I was 12.
Yep. First deer was 12, 13?
13 with a bow. It was a 70-pound doe, my buddy Dougie and I.
Yeah?
Yeah, Halloween night. She was running at 20 yards. Shot her with my bow at 20 yards on the run.
You still remember that like it was yesterday, I'm sure.
Of course I do.
My first deer, same thing. It was 95-pound, you know, ended up being a button buck. But
well, I'll catch flack for this. I shot that doe on the run. She was on the dead run.
Well, you were young.
At 20 yards. No, man.
Would you do that? Would you do that now? Would you?
No, because I'm out of practice.
Yeah.
We used to practice. Remember, you ever see the movie? There's a movie called The Wenzel's Bow Hunting October Whitetails by Barry and Gene Wenzel.
I haven't seen it.
These guys are freaks. They don't use sights, and they practice. And they would roll tires down hills at a fast rate and practice shooting running targets.
Yep.
You watch their video, and I'd say about 50% of their deer on the run when they shoot them in Iowa and Illinois, and they could kill some toads.
With the bow.
With the bow.
Yeah.
And so our buddy Dougie and I practiced all summer. We bow fished with the same bows. We, bow hunted squirrels with the same bows, woodchucks, everything. We got to know our bows. We shot them so well. It was a York Fire Fox. York doesn't even exist anymore. And we used to never throw our broadheads away. I remember we used to stump shoot and take the broadheads out and go to a deer hunt with the same broadhead, shooting old Game Gutters XX75s, and we would take old tires and we would duct tape balloons in them and roll them down the hill. And
yeah, that's what those guys are doing up in Maine too. If you're tracking, you're gonna get now if I have a gun, more shots at a running deer.
I love shooting a running deer with a gun, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to know the ballistics of your gun, how much to lead, so on and so forth. But I've used 30-06 for so many years, but same thing. And Doug and I both. And Doug and I hunted for years with just a longbow. Killed one of my better New York bucks with a longbow.
On the ground?
No. I have killed them on the ground, yes.
Yeah. There's some guys that just stock old school style,
they kill deer.
Recurve bow and on the ground.
And they're successful. I'll be honest with you, you're more at peace when you're hunting with a stick and string.
Hunting on the ground is fun.
My buddy Doug, I remember we were hunting one day and this little doe, he was like ashamed. He's like, man, it's like a 50-pound doe. Came running right by, and he just instinctive grabbed his bow and took it right through the top of the heart, running at 15 yards. The old snuffer, the old snuffer, Magna snuffer, and man, he hit her, draw right down. He goes, dude, she's small. I'm like, that's a hell of a shot.
That was a rush.
That was a hell of a shot, man. We're gonna eat this is like veal. He's like, oh yeah, I love spending time with him and my buddy Brent and all those guys and my dad and all in the woods. This past year I got to spend some time with Brett Joy in the woods. And he's a fun cat, even if he is 4 foot tall. He's fun to spend some time.
Hey, he's not here to defend himself.
Oh, I know. He's too nice. He wouldn't. He'd probably just I'm 4'1".
We'll have to later on in the season try to get you guys back on.
Well, I was gonna try and get him down here for this, but he just got back from Sodak and took himself like a nice big 150 in South Dakota, which is my dream area, like my dream hunt. I would have loved to go, but me, awesome. My buddy Maurice, the doctor I work with, I've become really, really close friends with him the last 4 years or so. We went to Colorado last year, shot our first elk, and I've been going for the last 4 years. I've had opportunities every year, and so my dad, Maurice, and myself are headed to Colorado. Again, that's my 4th trip.
It's going to be fun.
I drew a coveted mule deer tag this year. When you haven't lived, once you see a 200-inch mule deer,
yeah,
that's what I saw one a couple years ago.
And they're on 300 pounds.
The thing came out of a bottom, like a little.
I'm looking at a mule deer in here.
Yeah, well, this one, dude, they would. So the locals out there pass deer like that.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a whitetail.
You see 160s,
but it looks like a muley.
You see 160s out there. Man, he's huge, and the locals are like, I wouldn't even get out of that truck for that thing.
Yeah.
They don't care if it's unless it's over 180.
That's why hunting is so regional, though.
Oh, it's totally. Well, that's the thing is, I talk to the locals out there, and my buddy Brad and I were out there the first year, and the locals are like, oh, you guys are hunting way up there? Yeah. Jeez, he's like, I don't like to go more than a mile to get my elk. They want the meat.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I want the experience.
And South Dakota's got to be, it's much different than Colorado, right? Isn't it? It's mostly plains,
field,
right?
Yeah. It's totally different than Colorado. Colorado's under like a foot of snow right now. Mm-hmm. I guess it sparked the bugling up pretty good, so I've got some anxiety about going in a couple weeks.
I guess it was 100 degrees in Denver 2 days ago, and then they got like 2 feet of snow the day after. That's nuts.
That's why you see all this pile of stuff. This is my Italian pepper steak mountain house, everything. You got to be like, I'm ready.
Well, you're gonna be. You guys are doing remote camp or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be about 3-4 miles from anything.
Awesome.
And,
I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
Remote wilderness.
No, this is the best. It's different. Like I never deer hunted a day in Vermont. The whole 4 years I was in college there. I used to see him. One of the biggest bucks I ever saw in my life.
College is when I slacked. I mean, looking back on it now, I wish I was hunting during college, man.
Before college. If I knew now what I knew back then, I would have killed absolute toads. When I was in college, my wife went to college at Middlebury. I was traveling back from visiting her like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And still, to this day, one of the biggest whitetail bucks I've ever seen in my life. I almost hit.
In Vermont.
Vermont.
And if I know you're going from Middlebury to Castleton, you probably went by where I hunt there.
You know Billy Ray Cyrus used to have a house on Lake Bombazine?
Yeah.
Right by his house.
Yeah.
Came flying right by, stopped on the side of the road and stood up just like Bambi's dad, just up like that. I was like, oh my God, giant 10-pointer, probably 10, 12-inch G2s and 3s, like just.
And he was bigger than a lot of these bucks in here?
Oh, monster.
That's
bigger than
that's crazy. You don't
he
see
was like a 150, 160, like monster.
We've hunted in that area for a long time.
I remember seeing him, and I was driving my little 1994 Chevy S10, and I pulled the e-brake on that thing, spun around just in time to see it go off the road and up that hill. I used to bounce in Rutland. I used to drive back on 4 and see all the deer at the bottom of Birdseye Mountain.
Where'd you bounce? Jilly's? Was it Jilly's at the time?
Jilly's, baby.
Fucking Jilly's.
Jilly's. And remember there's a bar called Muck and Schnabels?
Oh, yeah. Mux is still there. Muck and Schnabels is
Muck's is still there?
Yeah.
Is the Brownstone still there?
Yeah.
No kidding. Is Jilly's still there?
Jilly's is... The building is there, but it's not Jilly's.
Oh,
that's gone through so many different title changes and ownership
I used to bounce
changes.
at Jillian's. There used to be a place in Castleton called The Dog.
Oh yeah, no, trust me, I know The Dog. I've been to The Dog a bunch of times.
I cut my teeth bounce at The Dog.
The Dog gets rowdy on Thursday nights.
Thursday night, 25-cent drafts, $5 at the door.
And it's still 25 cents. If I think The Dog recently just closed again.
For all you random people listening.
25
You
cents.
spend 25 cents for a draft of the most terrible beer.
That's Vermont, baby.
Dude, I saw some things at that place. Oh, God.
I've heard some stories.
There was a fight with the locals one day throwing pool balls back and forth. It's a horseshoe-style bar, and there was a pool table one side and the other, and they got in a fight. Oh, man. I saw some chick beat the crap out of some old-timer in there.
You were bouncing there, too?
Yeah. I bounced at The Dog every Thursday night,
how many times
every Friday, Saturday.
How many times did you get punched in the face with The Dog?
Once, by a chick.
Well,
I also got stabbed in the arm by one there too.
Oh, get out of here!
Yeah,
Dog.
No, it was mostly college kids, and then the locals would mix it up. It was great.
Yeah, well, sometimes the old timers from my deer camp back in the 70s, they would go down to The Dog. It's like a 3-4 mile drive from our deer camp.
Yeah.
So.
And there used to be a place, and when we were feeling really frisky, I bounced there once or twice. We used to go across the New York State border into New York. This place called Phineas T. Flubberbusters.
I know about, dude. Flubs. I grew up in Rutland. Dude, I know all these places.
Flubs closed down. Flubs was
these places closed down because they were everybody would go there after the bars closed at 1 or 2.
Because the health inspectors walk in and be like, "Why is someone's molar over here in the corner of the table?" Oh, God.
But that's got to be the best name of all time for a place.
Flubs?
Phineas T. Flubberbusters.
Flubberbusters, man. We used to bomb out there because they would be open until 2 a.m. And you had to be 18 to get in there.
They were open until 4.
Oh, yeah.
New York. Yeah, New York.
I bounced there a couple of times, and there's this one guy with a mullet. And he actually liked to be called King Mullet. And he hired me a couple of times. He'd call me like, "Hey, we need somebody to bounce tonight to cool." And I was like, I'm in. It's like $60 flat rate for 4 hours. I was like, sure.
Yeah. Hired gun.
Oh, God. It was terrible.
Well, at Flubs, you got people coming from Glens Falls, Saratoga, Lake George, and then you got the Rutland crowd. Yeah, that's just the
thing is, knowing at The Dog, if you parked at The Dog, do you want to have a good time? There's a 50% chance you're coming out with a quarter panel caved in your truck.
Yeah,
that place was just anus.
Wild West.
Oof. I loved it at the time, man. I thought I was Patrick Swayze from Dalton from Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Thought you'd be bigger.
Yeah. What's the tradition?
I was good at my job. Oh, walk the dog.
Yeah, what's that?
Walk the dog,
that again?
Man. Walk the dog.
When you graduate?
All seniors at Castleton the night before graduation, you walk the dog. They give you a T-shirt, and you get to walk around. You walk on top of the bar, all the way around the bar, where people throw beer and
they don't clean that shit after either.
Oh, you kidding me? We used to bring out the towels and resell it to you.
Makes the beer taste better.
Yeah, God. Oh, dude, that was so long ago.
I know.
17 years ago.
You're a little bit older than me.
Graduated
not much, but
I graduated in 2003.
it still seems like it's close. I graduated 2009.
Yeah. Dude, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
I can't believe Jilly's isn't there anymore. That's a bummer.
And when's the last time you've been up in that area?
I haven't gone back. I take that back. The year after I graduated, I went back.
I mean, Castleton changed quite a bit. It's a university now.
Yeah. Dude, listen.
They got the good facilities.
I played collegiate baseball at Castleton. Yeah. Back then, our home run fence.
You must have played with some kids from Rutland then.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I played baseball and soccer in college. And back then, our baseball field had an orange snow fence for the home run fence. Mm-hmm. Now they have like a whole stadium.
They've got pretty nice facilities there.
Yeah, they got everything. Yeah. I was like, dude, I wish I could play now.
But there's some deer around there, man.
Of course, dude, I used to always see them on campus all the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to spend the money and buy a out-of-state license.
Yeah, I know. I know. Don't
get me wrong. I had the old Mossberg 500 up there, me and campus. I lived off campus for a few years. We chased some ducks up there. Me and my buddy, Tyler Critchlow. We used to go up there and hunt some ducks, geese, turkeys.
Did you? I don't want to say this place because I love fishing this place, but there's a spot near Castleton, probably where you did some of your duck hunting. It's got some great bass.
I actually never duck hunted around there. I went to Addison County near Middlebury all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the snow geese grounds. We hunted around there.
Yeah.
Had a blast.
Oh, there's some great pike fishing there too.
Dude, we're playing the game. Remember When right now.
Well, let's get back to hunting real quick.
Yeah.
What do you? So you, as we're sitting here, whoever's listening, there's his phone's just going off constantly, and it's pictures of deer and foxes and shit coming back on his game cameras. What have you got anything on those that you're excited about this year that you're gonna hunt?
I do. I have.
What's the outlook? We want to give everybody his outlook on the season and check in with you later, see if you accomplish your goals.
Well, I have one repeater that came back from last year so far. I have my cameras in spots, but no, I'm not getting like too deep. I like to get really serious with my cameras when the deer start scraping and rubbing trees, and you can find big scrape lines and stuff, and you hang your cameras on that. Other than that, this time of year, it's like food and bedding and water.
Yeah.
It's been kind of a dry summer.
Yeah.
As of on camera right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 shooters that I would consider to be.
How many cameras you got out?
Maybe 10, 12.
Nice.
And I got 15 more to put out.
Yep.
Actually, I got 20 some more to put out. But I haven't even hit all my hunting spots yet. I just I'm starting to get into it here. I'm getting really excited about Colorado, but yeah, that's gonna be. I've got a lot of new properties here, like properties I've never hunted before.
Yep.
That I'm getting permission. I got permission to hunt on. So
when do you see when do you see them starting to lay down a scrape line the earliest?
Scrapes end of this month.
Yeah, late September, right? It starts getting cold.
Yeah, late September. I'd say September 20th or so, maybe 25th.
But so why does a mock scrape work now?
They do work. They work.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about scrapes people don't understand is that deer use scrapes year round.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few that are it's completely bare in February. It looks like they just hit it.
Deer those hit scrapes too. It's like Facebook. Remember AOL Instant Messenger back in the day? It's like AOL Instant Messenger. They'd walk by, leave a message, pee in the scrape, licking branch with their orbitals, and lick the branch, and they'd go about their business, and somebody would come by an hour later and be like, oh, so-and-so is here.
What was your AIM screen name?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
I think it was like JG Bennett 6 or something like that. My wife's was Somebody to Love. SMBDYTWOLOVE because she's a big fan of Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
I remember that. It depends. I don't know. The scrapes work fine now this time of year, and I do freshen up some scrapes. I do that. I basically hit runways nowadays. I'm getting a ton of does, which is fine. People are like, man, I'm only getting does. Well, good. Hang around those. Does are territorial.
Yeah.
Stay on those does in November, and a buck's gonna come through.
And how do you hunt scrape lines?
Well, it all depends on how proximity to bedding and feeding scrape lines are. If you got a scrape line going down the edge of a field, unless you hunt at night, good luck. But if you got a scrape line that continues from woods, like from a bedding out to the field, then that's a primary prey.
So they're doing it. From what you found out, mostly after they fed and they're heading back to bed, they'll lay the scrape.
But a lot of mature bucks don't like to be out in the middle of a field in the middle of the day and daylight. So you have to find where the entrance is and go. You have to backtrack. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work. Depends on each buck's different.
Yep.
And figuring them out's half the fun.
Yeah. And so, what do you? What's your strategy on swamp bucks, real quick? Like, how do you hunt a swamp? I'm trying to figure that out this year.
Swamp bucks. What good is hunting a swamp buck if you can't shoot them? Like I've hung stands in the middle of swamps before where I had 5-yard shooting lanes. That's it. Well, there's a couple different ways. I've done drag lines with scent along the edge of a swamp where I know it'll blow in and they'll get the scent and come out.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that work. Basically, you need to find the entry and exits of the swamp.
But you like when the wind is blowing into the swamp, or you'd rather have the wind coming out of the swamp?
Well, no matter which way the wind's blowing, it's got to be going through the swamp at one point in time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's coming from the east, it's coming from the east side of the swamp. If it's coming from the west, it's coming from the west side of the swamp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't necessarily set up with your wind blowing into the swamp because that's just heinous. You know, it's going to blow your scent right into it.
Yeah.
Trial and error. Find out their ins and outs of the swamp. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, utilize your cameras. Utilize the tools you have. You know,
there's bucks do eat in the swamp too, right? There's so much food though, so you know a lot of times they're not even coming out of there, right?
Right. Well, it depends.
Until the rut kicks in and they're finding the does.
Yeah. I mean, every swamp has a major in and out that the deer use. You know what I mean? I mean, a big wide buck like Sluggo, there's going to be a specific way they go into the swamp.
So do you just walk the entire edge of the swamp if you're scouting to see to find
check the perimeter of the swamp?
And how do you know for the?
I did that yesterday with my daughter. There's a big swamp piece that came out, and I found like a highway going right along the edge of the swamp. I didn't go any further in because we got that much time. I had my daughter with me, but I know that's where they come out. Hung the camera right there, and I got pictures in 5 minutes later of does.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Yeah, I want to try to kill a swamp buck at some point. I got some cameras up on the edges, but just so far nothing but small bucks.
He was a swamper.
He looks like a swamper.
This one is a swamp buck right here.
Yep.
Oh, which other ones? He came out. He lived in a cat nine-tail swamp on power lines.
Yep.
I caught him on the highland chasing a doe. Missed him at 9:30 in the morning. Killed him at 4:10 p.m.
What's your? Are you a morning or evening? Like, what's your favorite?
I prefer the evening because that way I can get the kids off on the bus and then I don't have to wake up at 4 in the morning. But there's no picking and choosing when it comes to the time to hunt. You just gotta get out there and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Being a mobile hunter, it's easier to do that in the evening. I'll be honest with you.
Are you using a saddle or what are you using in your mobile?
No,
Climbers?
I use Lone Wolf Assault 2 and climbing sticks.
What do you think about saddles? Have you tried it?
I'm 230 pounds. I don't know. I mean, I would trust after a time. I think saddles are awesome. I think it's great, but for filming, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's real tough.
Yep. So I got a climber too, but
I'd love to try a saddle when my filming days are over.
Yep. Is there a scenario that you hunt the ground at all yet?
I hate like
these days with a bow.
I hate hunting from the ground. Yeah, there is, but I hate it. I get antsy in the pants. I just can't.
Yeah.
It's like I even hate hunting out of a blind for turkeys.
Yeah.
I got to be mobile to be able to see or something.
Yeah. Feels wrong.
It feels wrong. It just feels I don't like it. I have killed a lot of deer on the ground with a gun.
Yeah. I mean that's how.
With a bow.
I never sat in a tree until 2 years ago.
Well, that's the thing is like I don't think I've ever shot a deer out of a tree stand with a gun.
Yeah.
Never.
No,
never have.
I definitely haven't. Yeah.
Nope.
New York, you're probably sitting on the ground and
sitting
up against a tree, or you're still hunting, or whatever.
Stay mobile, so you can move. Well, that ridge looks better 50 yards away.
Yep.
Walk up over there,
When you're looking for a new spot to hang some cameras, just real quick, like you're going into, you're looking every hunter every year. You want to find somewhere new. You're venturing out.
Right.
What are you looking for?
Well, I'll start off by saying you're never going to find a piece of woods that nobody else hunts in.
Yeah, especially suburbia.
Even if they're not supposed to be there, they're going to be there.
Yep.
I've got private permission to hunt certain spots. I'm like, oh yeah, you're the only person that's ever been back there. No, there's a tree stand 100 yards from your house. I already found it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no untouched gems.
Yeah.
If you do find one, God bless.
Mm-hmm.
But they're rare. It's rarer than a unicorn.
Yeah.
But my thing is, what do I look for on a piece of property? I look for like high ground. You know what I mean? Like a sanctuary where they can get up out of swamps, get away from people, high and see and look around so they can see something coming. Like and that's the thing. There's not one definitive thing. I look at, oh man, there's a good chunk of woods right here. Or I work at a hospital. Someone's like, oh man, I got deer in my backyard all the time. Mind if I go take a look out back? Who owns it? Oh, it's town property. What town? Look up the bylaws. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or how much? Well, I own 6 acres. Mind if I hunt there?
Yeah.
Well, we don't like guns. I bow hunt. Okay, yeah, come take a look. Will you shoot the coyotes? Sure. walk back there, take a look, and be like, "This is pointless," or "There's just a lot of deer here."
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So
a lot of it is networking, and then, like, if you,
I know guys who work.
how many people will be like, send you a picture and be like, "Yo, I just saw this," but they don't hunt, but they're like, "I just saw this big buck."
Oh, a lot of times.
Yeah, it gets you
like
on.
I know guys who, like, one of my former friends, he used to work in the services and, like, bat-proof houses and stuff. Or, you know, I know guys who are landscapers. Like, I'll cut your lawn for free if you let me hunt here.
Yeah.
I know guys who do that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, good for you.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's hard to find a piece of private land that it's got good bucks and other people aren't hunting. So
right. I mean, there's private property in certain. I mean, and sometimes if it's not posted, there can legally be other people hunting it.
Right.
Just
in it's the law in Massachusetts.
It's the law.
Yep. What about highways? So people, I mean, do a lot of your traveling on highways. And the guy we interviewed last week, Jeff, he says there's something magical about, and I don't want to give up anybody's spots or anything, but highways and that border a swamp, and obviously a lot of highways do, because it's it's unbuildable.
I know guys who hunt holes in fences.
Yeah,
or they'll cut holes in fences.
Yeah,
it's not legal. I've never done that.
Don't do that.
I'm not saying I've never done anything illegal, but I've never cut holes in a fence. Yeah, there's one spot where I hunt by a highway, but there's a swampy piece, and then it opens to a hardwood piece.
But, like, they don't get, there's not a lot of human foot traffic there. Deer, I think deer are used to the humming of the cars. They feel safe there.
Covers your entry noise.
Yep.
And, yeah. No, it works. It's good.
Yep.
I've had some success there.
I wonder.
But I'm in the age in my life now where I want to have a good sit, a comfortable sit that I enjoy, and listening to the whole time. It's like, God, I can't hear a thing.
Yeah, that's a little too much.
Yeah.
But all right, cool, man. I think pretty much wraps it up. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Any parting questions I can answer real quick?
Why is that one not mounted?
Oh, that's a long story. I'll tell you about that one off camera. That deer was hit by a car first.
Oh, okay.
And that's why its main beam on the right's broken. It's a 142-inch 8-pointer with a broken main beam on the right.
Beauty.
Yeah, monster.
Was he Massachusetts?
Yep.
And that elk, you get in Colorado in the last 3 years?
Yep.
6x6. Man, I hope you get one this year. And
well, I'm trying to get my dad one this year, and my buddy Maurice, and I'm gonna try and get me a mule deer. So,
yeah.
But I'll call for him. I like calling.
Oh yeah, you got that muley tag.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a good time.
You look like you got in shape for it.
Well, yeah. I lift probably I'd say 6 days a week. I run 3 days a week.
How often do you shoot?
I shoot at least one arrow a day. I do cold shots.
Yeah.
I suggest that to everybody. Take a cold shot, wake up, don't do any more shots. One shot's a shot count. Mine's at 80 yards. I shoot one shot at 80 yards.
Yep. I mean, especially if you're going for muley and elk.
Put your pack on, put your binoculars on.
Yeah.
Shoot one at 80 yards. So that's about it. Everybody, you know what? Everybody this year, hunt how you want to hunt. Enjoy yourself.
That's right.
One of the biggest issues I see in the hunting industry, especially in New England, is hunter jealousy and criticism. And people, oh man, you'll never get a big buck. Keep shooting these young bucks.
That's such bullshit, though.
It's one thing if the guy's shooting 3 or 4 bucks or overshooting his tag limit. It's his tags. He can fill them how he sees fit. Even if he says, well, if I don't shoot him, my neighbor will. Well, you shot him. There's your tag. Good for you. Are you happy with him? Yep, good. I'm happy for you. I have heard every single person I know who's killed a big buck in this state and in New Hampshire or anything like that. Every person I've ever met that's killed a big buck or multiple big bucks or consistently successful, I have heard people say bad things about them. Everyone. This kid shot a 150-inch buck. Yeah, well, his dad has a corn pile the size of his truck.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
If you know that to be true,
when rumors,
then don't put it on social media.
Yeah.
Call the EPOs.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy, he trespasses.
He shoots
you know
at
that
night.
For sure?
He
shoots him at night. You know what? You know that for sure? Don't put it on social media. Call the EPOs.
Yep.
This society we've developed here of hate and jealousy is just going too far.
And just spreading rumors.
Enjoy what you do. Don't worry about the other person. Be happy for him. If you can't be happy for him, keep your negativity to yourself.
Don't be stressed in the woods, man.
I know lots of people that hunt illegally. Unfortunately, man. Yeah, every year, you know how many miles I put in the woods? You know how many pineapple trees I run into in the woods? You know what a pineapple tree is?
Yeah. So you don't know them, but you've seen a lot of illegal shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a pineapple tree is a pine tree with apples under it.
Yeah.
You mean those I see here? Like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, hey, it's okay to hunt illegally. It's
now you
illegal,
can
that,
drop
you know,
apples here, but not during the season.
10 days before the opening, I think it's of youth season. All of your food has to be out of the woods.
Yep. You got to go in there and vacuum up the corn kernels.
If there's any left, man, I'm telling you, the acorns, the squirrels, and turkeys, whatever, they'll take care of them real quick. But to that point where I just want everybody to enjoy what they do and not. I mean, there was a time where I was accused of doing something I didn't do, and it ruined. Like I didn't hunt for 3 weeks. I was miserable. I hated it. Didn't even want to think about hunting anymore.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
sucks. Like nobody should be able to have that power over you by, passing their judgment on something that they don't know.
Right. So I mean, everybody just needs to go out, enjoy what you do, and enjoy. And you're.
And if you've never killed a deer, shoot a
deer,
shoot a doe, shoot a spike horn. It is so much fun. It's hard enough to get.
If you don't feel like killing a deer, enjoy the sunset, enjoy the leaves dropping, enjoy
the
just
peace
being in the wild.
Peace of mind, dude. It's so good for your mental health.
Because the problem is, as hunters, we are a dying breed.
Yep.
We're having a hard time getting youth involved. I am very excited the fact we're having more female hunters than ever before, but we're not really attracting new blood into this with this negativity we have on social media.
Yep.
We need to keep our sport alive, our heritage, our traditions, our livelihood alive.
Yep.
So why not support each other, bring each other up? This is what we love to do. We need to have a future in this.
Yeah. And a trophy is personal, right?
Like, trophies. See, the thing is, man, none of these mounts will be with me on my deathbed, but the memories of how I got them and who was with me will be. That's the trophy. Yep. They don't make coffins with pockets.
Yeah, it really is about preserving the memory. You like to look up. You were able to go back into the moment of all of those kills for these bucks and tell me those stories, and that's why it's very special.
Yeah.
And that's why it tastes great when you're eating it. You know the life they lived. You know the battle that you had with that buck. Well, that's one thing.
I'll never bring a deer to a butcher because I killed it. It's my job. And I'm not saying that you can't take it to a butcher. My father taught me how to butcher deer at the age of 6.
Yep. I've butchered all my deer in Vermont.
It's my own personal thing. It's how I deal with taking something's life is that I give it the respect by processing it from start to finish.
Yep.
And that's my own personal thing. There are a lot of people here who don't have time to do that.
I prefer that,
and I totally respect that as long as you're utilizing the deer meat. That's what's great. But to me, that's a real big part of it.
And you want to know you're getting, the story you hear all the time. You don't know if you're getting your own deer back if you bring it to a butcher.
There's a guy actually on Instagram. You hear from, he's posting on Facebook on Boston Bowhunter. This guy Rich Malloy. Have you heard of him?
No.
Dude, he is cooking up some things. Like he got like 3 different Traegers. He's like the world's best wild game chef. So I follow him on Facebook. I'm like, hey, or on Instagram. I'm like, hey, did I cut these butterfly chops? He's like, oh yeah, man, perfect. Here, this. I'm like, hey, I want to make a chimichurri. This is the best chimichurri to go with your venison cuts. And he gives me the recipe. Like add a little bit of onion in there. And this and that. So like, that to me is exciting.
That's
like,
cool.
Man, I can't wait to shoot an elk. I can't wait to shoot another deer this year. I'm gonna do little baby like tomahawk chops off of that.
Yeah, it's you can get caught up. Like the only way I've ever had deer until recently was in a pan with butter, salt, and pepper. Just the way my
that's
family.
That's Vermont. Garlic, salt, pepper, and butter, and a cast iron.
That's
pan.
it, man. That's all I ever had until a couple years ago. So you can start experimenting and doing different stuff with it.
So many cool cuts. So many different things you can do. You can smoke them, wrap them in bacon. You can
get some burger, do some venison tacos.
Dane Peruzzi in your sous vide. All right, Dane got a sous vide pot. Now he sous vides everything. And I was like, oh god, boiled meat, right? I tried it one time. I was like, damn, that's really freaking good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna experiment this year.
I mean, maybe that'll give you new purpose to fill your doe tags, or not to.
100%. Yeah,
but find a purpose. You know what? If you can't find a purpose to be happy hunting, you probably shouldn't be hunting.
Yeah,
if
you shouldn't be stressed.
Is to be negative with other people.
Yeah,
you should pick up curling, maybe knitting.
Yeah,
I don't know. But listen, it's
something more.
It's just something we need, man. We need to keep this sport alive. We need to encourage each other and be there for each other as far as And I mean, social media. I know social media it's a fickle beast, man. But it's a great proponent for hunting and like a good way for everybody to connect. We need to remember why we're all doing this.
Yep.
And that we're all in this together.
I'm introducing my my best fishing buddy from Vermont. We fish all over the place. He's like the best fly fisherman I've ever met. He's a great spin fisherman, all that shit too. His name's Evan Potter. He's from Scotland, and he's just one of my best friends. And he's finally this year going hunting. I'm taking him.
Yeah.
Vermont's got a new novice law.
That's
where
awesome.
He's going out on youth weekend.
Oh, really?
And he can shoot any deer.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, we'll get him. We're gonna get him his first deer.
You know,
and
dude,
get addicted.
and the thing is, I'm not pooing on social media with that, but that's also through Boston Bow Hunter. It's connected me with a lot of people who want to learn. And like I said before, anybody who knows me knows I love the turkey hunt, man. Something about killing turkeys. I love calling turkeys. I don't have to shoot them. I just love calling them.
You don't like it better than deer hunting, though, do you?
No, it's different worlds. The reason being is I have killed hundreds of mature toms.
Yeah.
I don't know how many mature bucks I've killed, but it's nowhere near 100. I've killed over 100 deer, but come on. A lot of 4-pointers and 3-pointers in there. But turkey hunting, like, there's nothing better. Like, I did it this year, the year before. I get at least 3 or 4 people who've never shot a bird before. I take them out, I call them in a bird, and they shoot it, and the look on their face. I mean, there was one woman, and she cried. She said, "This is my first kill ever." I'm like, "Are you sad?" She goes, "No, I'm so excited." I was like, "Oh my God, this is great." And like, we hugged, and this is a great experience. And you there have planted that seed in that person.
Yep.
Now, they may hate you because it's an obsession, and it's an obsession that costs money and time and strain on the marriage.
Dude, it's the healthiest addiction of all time,
man. It's healthy.
It is a healthy addiction.
You're planting that seed, and you're getting in there, and maybe you're building a relationship. I mean, my best friend, Bill Mulvey, I just talked to him here. He had never hunted in his life. He's a Marine, and I thank him every day. He's the best guy. If I ever need anything, he'll be here like that. We met through a mutual friend, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll learn how to hunt. We're gonna learn how to hunt." So I was like, "You can come with me tomorrow." It was Massachusetts shotgun season. I took him out, and he had too much to drink the night before. Ended up puking in the woods. But we saw a deer, and he got hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Got hooked, and he started doing this and that, and now this and that. And now we are hunting buddies. We share the same spots and intel and info, and we're best friends. You never know how you're going to make a friend, but you can always have a positive influence and plant that seed in somebody.
Like you said,
so take somebody hunting who's never been before, even if it's a kid, if it's an adult.
That seed has an umbrella. Like, I think about it back to my grandfather, who got my dad and my uncle into it, and then all of their kids were into it, and now I've introduced 2 or 3 of my friends to hunting who never did. And one person can really spread that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a 14-year-old. She just turned 14 on Sunday.
Yep.
She has no interest in hunting.
Yeah.
But when I kill a big buck, she's happy for me.
Oh yeah.
Big hug. She'll eat it.
Yeah.
She just doesn't.
Not everyone's gonna love it.
My son. I mean, I take my middle daughter, my youngest daughter, and my son. They talk about my youngest daughter. She shoots. She likes to be called Katniss Everdeen. She loves to shoot a bow. My son's like, that's a big buck. Like, no, it's not. But thank you, buddy. Yeah. To you, it is. Yeah. That's what makes me smile. So like, that's it's. I'm gonna start getting my kids involved. But like, that's where it's at. How can we have a future in this if we don't get the future involved? Yep. So.
Well, great stuff, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you having me on here, and hopefully I didn't sound too much of like a jackass.
No, I don't think. I think I did that for you.
All right, guys. Be safe.
Thanks, Jake.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Hunt Suburbia podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. We're going to release an episode every single Sunday throughout the season, throughout the entire year, and we will possibly be releasing some bonus episodes here and there throughout the week as people, come in freshly off a bow kill and tell their stories. We hope that happens throughout the season. There might be weeks where you get 2 or 3 bonus episodes. You might not get one for a couple of weeks, but there will be some bonus episodes. But you can count on us every single Sunday to have a new interview on throughout the season. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Big bucks I've been dreaming often, every night till I'm in a coffin. Vermont woods to the burbs of Boston, I'm looking for a tree to get lost in. Crisp mornings, little dust in the snow. Quality time, just me and my bow. Fall evenings, I know just where to go for some quality times for me and my